Here at Redemption Gateway, and welcome to part 7 of 7 of our series on the fundamentals of discipleship. That is the basic practices, habits, behaviors that help us take responsibility as we seek to connect with Christ and allow His Spirit to change us and grow us as students of Him and followers of Him. One of the things I like doing in workouts is workouts with prescribed rest. Sometimes that can be partner workouts where one of you works at a time and one of you rests while the other one works. Sometimes it's you work for a minute, rest for a minute. Sometimes it's work for 20 seconds, rest for 10 seconds. But I like the prescribed rest for a couple of reasons. One, it helps you avoid injury and maintain technique. 2, it helps you maintain intensity. And even 3, it allows you to do longer workouts before you redline or hit the wall and then it ends up being unsafe. So that maintenance of intensity and avoidance of injury is part of something that I enjoy doing even when I'm working out. And that's actually something that's rooted in God's design of humanity. That when He created the world, He worked for 6 days and rested for the 7th. And it's something that from the very beginning, He has invited His people into, that they would image Him and recognize that the God that we serve is not like other gods. That when Israel was a slave in Egypt, they had to work 7 days a week. That is, they had to be productive all the time in order to earn and prove their worth, and their life was at stake. Rather, in serving the Lord our God, our productivity is not a means of us gaining our acceptance from Him. Rather, it's a way of participating in His work and unfolding the goodness of creation. So we are called to work or be productive. Sometimes the word work can be hard because it has connotations of just employment, but I like to think about we are supposed to be productive about 6/7 of our time, and we're supposed to rest about 1/7 of our time. If we're trying to turn that not into a legalistic principle, but into a way that God is seeking to care for us as His humans. In the book of Hebrews chapter 4, it says this, that if Joshua had given them rest, God would not have spoken of another day later on. That is, God took the people of Israel and brought them into the promised land, but even in the promised land, there was not the true and final rest. There was something past that they were supposed to look to. A lot of us get caught up in thinking, I will rest once I get to my promised land. Once I hit this number in my bank account, once I hit this rank at my work, once I get this many tasks done around the house. And we're trying to say, once I hit the promised land, then I will rest. But what we recognize is that these false gods of productivity do not actually give us rest, especially in our current digitized culture. The comparison game is constantly inviting us into eternal productivity rather than the reality of a healthy, balanced, productive, and rest balance. That we as Christians, I think, need to process through, and depending on what your work is, if you're a nurse and you work 3/12s, or if you are an entrepreneur and it's required that you work Friday through Sunday, all of our rhythms are going to be different based on our positions and seasons of life. But I do think that every Christian is required and called by a gift. This is a gift that we're required to do, that this command is a blessing, that we would work out what real rhythms of disengagement and non-productivity look like for us. That especially in our connected world, people can constantly break our rest, or there's ways that we think we're resting when we're not, like just scrolling endlessly through Netflix or Instagram. We're just disassociating. We're not truly resting and being present and enjoying God's good creation. And so this boundaried existence, one in which we are purposefully productive and purposefully restful, where we're playing and enjoying the fruits of our labor and resting in God's creation, is something we are called to work to. And it's something that we as families have to commit to together, or as households have to commit to together. That if we aren't purposefully resting, we will be caught up in the endless cycle of proving ourselves. One of the things that goes on to say in this Hebrews 4 is that whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from His work. That one of the main reasons we are bad at resting is that we're constantly trying to prove ourselves. But if we believe that Christ has proved for us what we need to prove, that in His sinless life and in His substitutionary death, that we are accepted by the Father, therefore we have nothing to prove and no one to impress, that belief, a deep-seated root in the gospel, is what enables us to actually rest from our heart and out. Not just resting with our hands, but resting with our heart, knowing that we have nothing to prove and no one to impress. And so Redemption Gateway, as we think about taking responsibility for our discipleship in the ways that we work and engage and participate with God and His forming of us into people who will represent Him well in the world, an important and vital part of that is that we work at not working. That 1/7 of these disciplines is about not working. And so we need to take in consideration our position and our life and our family patterns, but we all need to endeavor to rest in the finished work of Christ so that we're not endlessly trying to prove ourselves by being endlessly productive. Redemption Gateway, I hope that you have a great day, that you're able to be productive without trying to prove yourself, and that when the time comes to rest, you'll be able to do it well. Thanks for tuning into this series.